Coming up, at least 11 people have reportedly been killed in Russian airstrikes across Ukraine. This comes as Russia is ramping up its attacks in retaliation for the recent Crimea Bridge bombing, which Moscow claims was a terror attack by Ukraine. World leaders react as civilians are in fear. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un himself reportedly leads a series of military exercises of the regime's tactical nuclear weapon units. South Korea's presidential office shows grave concerns over the current situation, as the U.S. also says it needs to be addressed diplomatically. Plus, South Korea rolls out its bivalent COVID-19 vaccines. This as while the COVID-19 situation is improving, concerns of a so-called twindemic continue to linger. Good morning. Welcome to a new day at Arirang. We begin this morning as Russia struck cities across Ukraine during rush hour on Monday morning, killing civilians and destroying infrastructure. Russian President Vladimir Putin called the strikes retaliation for an attack on the Kerch Bridge that links Russia to the annexed Crimean Peninsula. Kim Yo-sun leads us off this morning.
Russia fired cruise missiles at busy Ukrainian cities Monday morning in what countries around the world have described as, quote, horrific strikes. Explosions rocked Kyiv in the heaviest missile attacks on Ukraine's capital city since Moscow launched its invasion. At least 11 civilians were killed and over 60 others were wounded, according to the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. It added that 4 regions, including Lviv, had been left with no electricity, water, or heat following the attacks. In his nightly address, the Ukrainian president said that Moscow had launched 84 missiles and that 24 drones were used. Stressing that the strikes were deliberately timed to kill people and knock out Ukraine's power grid, Zelensky also added that restoration works are ongoing.
Now, across the whole country, restoration work is ongoing. We will restore all objects which were damaged by today's strike by Russian terrorists.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has made no secret of the missile raids being payback for an attack on a bridge linking Russia to Crimea. He further added that any further Ukrainian attacks would be met with, quote, severe consequences. Saying that he was deeply shocked by the latest airstrikes, UN Chief Antonio Guterres said that the latest move constitutes another unacceptable escalation of the ongoing war in Ukraine. The UN also convened Monday an emergency meeting to condemn Moscow's, quote, attempted illegal annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions. During the meeting led by the EU, the member states are also set to provide a resolution that calls for the immediate withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden also condemned the strikes, saying they once again demonstrate the utter brutality of Putin. Kim Yo-sun, Arirang News.
Now, here in Korean Peninsula, tensions seem to show little signs of abating. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un himself reportedly takes command of a series of military exercises of the regime's tactical nuclear weapons units over the past 2 weeks. Seoul's presidential office calls current security situation on the peninsula severe. Shin Ah-young has the details.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has recently been moving forward aggressively with regard to weapons testing. According to North Korea's state media, it was Kim himself who oversaw recent military drills of the regime's tactical nuclear weapon units, which have taken place for the past 2 weeks. The report was released Monday, which is also the 77th founding anniversary of the regime's ruling Workers' Party. The report added that the spate of missile launches and drills was a direct response to joint military exercises between South Korea and the U.S. in waters off the southeast of the peninsula from late September. Kim also emphasized that the latest training was to both serve as a warning to enemies and act as a means of demonstrating North Korea's war deterrence and nuclear counterattack capability. Kim also made clear that even though South Korea and the U.S. are making efforts to open discussion with the North, the regime has nothing to talk about with its enemies and feels no necessity to do so. He also vowed to bolster the regime's nuclear force. On the same day, South Korea's presidential office released a statement on the latest situation regarding the security of the country. It highlighted the importance of awareness of the severe security-related issues on the Korean Peninsula and in Northeast Asia. It also stressed the need for proper preparation on the matter, adding that protecting people's lives and ensuring safety from North Korea's missile threats is a reality that must be addressed. Meanwhile, amid North Korea's increased missile provocations, reports say that South Korea and the U.S. are prepared to take their joint response to a new level should North Korea conduct a seventh nuclear test. 신하영, Arirang News.
Now, following North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's remark that the regime had nothing to discuss with its enemies, the U.S. says it remains committed to a diplomatic approach while urging Pyongyang to engage in dialogue. That's according to the U.S. Department of State on Monday local time, where Yonhap News Agency asked about the U.S. response to the North Korean leader's comments. The spokesperson strongly condemned the North's missile tests over the last 2 weeks that threatened the Korean Peninsula and neighboring regions. The official called North Korea's provocative acts a clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions, adding that U.S. military drills could not be a justification for Pyongyang's unlawful behavior. South Korea begins inoculations using bivalent COVID-19 vaccines from Tuesday amid the growing possibility of a twindemic of COVID-19 and seasonal influenza. The country's health authorities say that Moderna's bivalent boosters will be administered. Among the first eligible for the vaccine are people aged 60 and above, as well as workers and patients at facilities that are vulnerable to infections. Adults aged between 18 and 60 can also make reservations for leftover shots on a daily basis if they have completed their primary series of vaccinations. Japan will resume tourist visa waivers starting today as part of a move to revive tourism in the country as the pandemic slows down. Visitors from 68 countries and regions, including South Korea, will be allowed to stay for up to 90 days without a visa for the first time in more than 2 years. Japan will also remove the cap on daily arrivals and will not require a negative COVID-19 test result taken within 72 hours of departure if travelers have received 3 rounds of vaccine shots. Citing a Taiwan-based travel platform, Japan's Yomiuri Shimbun says demand is particularly high among travelers from South Korea and Taiwan. The 2022 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences has been awarded to 3 U.S.-based economists for research on banks and financial crises. The announcement was made by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences on Monday. Economist Ben Bernanke, former head of the U.S. Federal Reserve, Douglas Diamond of the University of Chicago, and Philip Dybvig of Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, were awarded for their work on the relationship between banks and economic turmoil. Their research, which stretches back to the 1980s, delved into how bank failures worsen and extend financial disasters and how the system might be made safer in light of those risks. The committee said this year's laureates have significantly improved the understanding of the role of banks in the economy, particularly during financial crises. People in South Korea are increasingly showing interest in earning money using applications installed on their phones. Those apps pay out credits or even cash through everyday activities like simply typing on phones or even going for a walk. Choi Min-jung explains.
People type on their phones every day for a variety of purposes. But what if someone told you could earn money every time you press something on your phone's keyboard? With this app, you are rewarded every time you text a friend or take notes on your phone. Once you collect a certain amount of credits, you can use them like cash to buy things, like a cup of noodles. In South Korea, applications like this have gained popularity because they allow people to make easy money without having to put in much effort. This is an app that rewards users 100 credits for walking 10,000 steps a day. If people collect enough credits, they can shop at convenience stores or grab a cup of coffee at a cafe just from walking.
We have to walk anyways, so it's a plus that we can earn money easily. I usually buy coffee, and it's great because coffee nowadays costs as much as a meal.
Besides these, there are other applications that reward people with cash for participating in quick online surveys or for simply not using their phones. According to an online survey platform, mBrain, 4 out of 10 office workers have experienced making money by using such apps.
With prices rising, people are feeling pressure about their daily expenses. So when you think about how you can reduce spending, you can use such applications.
People can't earn a great deal of money by using these apps, but at times of soaring inflation, many think a penny saved is a penny earned. Choi Min-dong, Arirang News.
Artificial intelligence has made huge strides in recent years. The tech has been used to create AI news anchors and voice actors. And now it seems set to shake up the K-pop scene. Shin Ye-eun turns the spotlight on these digital stars.
Game changers in K-pop. Debuting in early 2021, Eternity became the world's first K-pop group created by artificial intelligence. Fans were given the chance to vote for their favorite potential member out of 101 virtual characters, each with features resembling some popular K-pop singers seen over the past 20 years. In the end, 11 members made the cut. And they made it big. Their first digital single, I'm Real, has over 1.2 million views. They even have a global fan base, Eternal.
AI thing is a very good thing because as a real life human versions of K-pop groups, we have to stand them, and then we also kind of like we fans have to worry about them because their health, their overworking, or their mental health issues. So as a AI group, we don't have to worry about this.
In just a year after the group's launch, Eternity has upgraded thanks to quickly advancing tech. Some of the members have jumped into other projects, like appearing in K-dramas or going on a live news interview. I was able to meet one member in person.
Eternity's member Jane here taught me some moves. 제이님, 춤 같이 춰볼까요? 네.
Behind Jane is an army of human models, all taking on different roles. Some work as Jane's voice, others dance for her. Jane's face is then drawn onto these human models using deep real AI technology. The tech generates picture-like images that can show a wide range of facial expressions. The creator of Eternity said AI idols have many advantages.
AI idols are the future. Their biggest advantage is time efficiency. Unlike actual idols who go through years of training, AI idols are created in seconds. They also never age. As our tech advances, AI idols can also show off many styles. Styles that an actual idol can never pull off.
Pulse 9 is currently developing its technology so that producing AI idols can be automated. They're also aiming to rely less on the human model. Instead, they're trying to use technology to create more of the AI idols' traits, like their hairstyle and voice. Shin Ye-eun, Arirang News.
South Korea reported around 15,000 new cases of COVID-19 as of 9 p.m. Monday. That figure is the lowest for the same period in 15 weeks. And while this sixth wave of COVID-19 seems to be nearing its end, can the country afford to let its guard down? For more, we have our go-to person when it comes to the COVID-19 situation, Professor Howard Lee of Seoul National University's Department of Molecular Medicine and Biopharmaceutical Sciences. As always, a pleasure to see you.
Good morning, and thank you for the nice introduction.
Well, we're nearing the end of this current wave of COVID-19 infections, which began around 3 months ago. Authorities have already warned that we could face another wave in the fall as we enter the middle of October and as the temperatures have dropped significantly in recent weeks. Do you see another wave coming?
Well, as we are getting out of woods from the latest wave, but not quite completely yet, I don't clearly see another resurgence coming anytime soon. That said, however, we can think of several scenarios ahead that may signal a coming wave of disease. Among them, more resistant variants coupled with a waning immunity, the potential for a twindemic with a co-infected flu, and underuse of life-saving vaccines and treatments are rather alarming. Now, speaking of the subvariants, XBB and BQ1.1 are particularly concerning. since both of them are more evading natural or vaccine-induced immunity than the current subvariants such as BA4 and BA5.
Right, and you mentioned the subvariants, and PCR tests are no longer required for visitors arriving in South Korea, which means the country could be exposed to a new variant that could start another wave. Is it safe to be completely unguarded from foreign cases like this?
I would agree. The post-entry PCR testing requirement within 24 hours from incoming travelers to Korea was finally scraped off a couple of days ago. In fact, Korea was the only advanced country in the world that required this type of strict entry testing. Now, the requirement had some benefits, such as detecting new cases and variants brought into Korea as early as possible. However, there's a problem. According to many experts and sources, the system did not work as it was planned to do. For example, only 60% of incoming travelers followed this policy, and there was no practical way to enforce this to all travelers. In addition, the number of new cases found in incoming travelers has been stabilized for many weeks. On top of that, we have several tools now to fight against COVID-19, such as vaccines, antiviral drugs, and antibodies. So, in a nutshell, we are not completely unguarded this way, and it is okay.
Right, and while numbers drop here, domestically, the number of infections in Europe is reportedly increasing. Do you see this as a warning that the world is not completely over COVID-19 yet?
You're right. Recently, COVID-19 infections have been rising again in European countries, particularly in Germany, the UK, France, and Italy. In fact, what's happened in Europe in the past often has been a harbinger for what's about to happen in other countries, such as the United States and South Korea as well. So, I should say, a safer bet at this time is to prepare ourselves for what is happening. We begin to see in Korea. This makes more sense as the weather cools and people start spending more time inside, where the virus spreads more easily. The risks of a resurgence increase. However, at the same time, we are not what we were 2 years or even a year ago. So we have to watch out, but no panic.
That's right. We have the tools to fight the disease more than we used to. So, well, thank you again for your time this morning, and hope you have a great day, Professor.
You too. Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
For a look at the news from around the world, we now turn to our Matthew Ashley standing by at the Arirang newsroom. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Do-yeon.
Let's start in Venezuela, where landslides caused by heavy rain have killed dozens of people.
Well, that's right. Local authorities say at least 36 people are dead and 56 are missing in the landslides. The disaster struck the town of Las Tejerias on Saturday local time after a month of rain fell in just 8 hours, causing banks of nearby rivers to burst. Now, teams of sniffer dogs and drones are still searching for survivors buried in the wreckage and mud. The town of 54,000 people has also been left without power and water. A week of downpours across Venezuela has led to flooding in 11 provinces, killing 4 other people. In response to the flooding and landslides, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has dispatched roughly 20,000 officials, including security and rescue workers. A detained Russian opposition figure has been awarded the Council of Europe's Václav Havel Human Rights Prize. The Council of Europe said on Monday that Vladimir Kara-Murza was given the award for his bravery in denouncing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Kara-Murza's wife accepted the award on his behalf at a ceremony in Strasbourg in France. She also read a statement from Kara-Murza that acknowledged other political prisoners and pledged to donate funds from the award to their families. Kara-Murza has been in Russian pre-trial detention since April 2022 for spreading alleged fake news about Russian military actions in Ukraine. He faces the charge of high treason, which could see a prison sentence of over 20 years. Now, amid a chaotic race in Tokyo, Max Verstappen has defended his Formula One World Championship title. Despite grabbing his 12th first place of the season in Sunday's race, the Dutch driver and spectators were left confused about whether he had actually won the championship. The uncertainty arose from the fact that the rain-soaked race had to be delayed, restarted, and then shortened, which could have meant fewer points were awarded, leading to a check of the rules by the sport's governing body. Now, in the end, a cut corner by title rival Charles Leclerc and a subsequent time penalty, alongside the decision to award full points for the race, saw the Red Bull driver ultimately crowned champion. And in our final story, the world's best freestyle footballers gathered in Croatia to take part in the 2022 Red Bull Street Style Finals. Held on Saturday at the Pula Arena, 16 male and 8 female footballers competed in a one-on-one knockout tournament. Contestants tried to outperform each other with their best tricks and moves over 3 turns of 30 seconds each. They were assessed by judges based on difficulty, originality, execution, and overall performance. Now, Norway's Erlend Fagerli defended his title in the final against his own brother, while American Caitlin Schroepfer took first place in the women's competition. Fan favorites were given the People's Choice Awards, with these going to Poland's Agnieszka Munich and France's Tristan Gouac.
Good morning, I'm Lee Ji-yeon with the latest weather updates. We are having an early winter-like morning today. Mountainous regions including Daegwallyeong in Gangwon-do province had nearly sub-zero temperatures. In fact, Seoraksan Mountain saw the season's first snow this morning, which came 9 days earlier than last year. So hope you dressed warmer on your way out. And the weather we had yesterday was quite unseasonal and unexpected. It was very chilly with strong winds and heavy rain at times, as if a storm was on its way. But for today, highs are forecast to go up much higher, then we'll have temperatures going back to seasonal norms tomorrow afternoon. But this afternoon, highs will be 2 to 5 degrees lower than seasonal norms. Seoul will get up to just 17 degrees Celsius, Daegu topping out at 20 degrees Celsius. Now, we should have our pleasant autumn weather back tomorrow, so dress extra warmly till then, with no rain in the forecast for the next 5 days. With that, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
And that wraps up today's New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow for our Wednesday's edition at the same time. Please stay with us for more updates throughout the day. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are, and take care.